have to bear with me, alright? Let's throw this on the side. Alright. Oh, this game's so good. Oh, it's so great. Oh, good. I was like, oh, it's going to be black again. I'll begin the game. Here we go. You guys can enjoy this for a while. And I'm going to drink.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month.
Did it work?
Of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
It should be up there.
So he had been made exactly for this job. Stanley was happy.
It cut off now?
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting.
Let me know if it's still messed up, Omar.
Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
And so now you take control of Stanley. You walk through the office building. Alright, let me, is it still messed up, Omar? Let me know, what the deal is here. I'm gonna turn it just a little bit. Uh-oh, did I just kill the game? Okay, good. Resume the game. Cut off during the course of the minute when I came back, you were on this game. Oh, weird. Shoot, I know what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to go to this and throw a hider on this bad boy. Let me know. So it's good now? It's just showing this, right? Did you get to see the intro at all, or did it completely skip the intro? Anybody else chiming in? Please let me know. I hate Monday's mug. So it's, you know, goofy. Take on office, office life. Except none of your office mates are there.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So you look at the computers and there you go. Everybody turn off their computers. Alright.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So now this is where I want to get you guys involved. So I want to do the... So now I want to try to start the poll. And now you can say, oh, turn to the left or turn to the right. Take the left door, take the right door. Let's do this actually. Okay, good. Now I can get over there without screwing everything up. So there you go. You get to vote. You get to vote. Oh my god. Now you just type 1 into the chat for left, or 2 into the chat for right. Let it run for a good bit. Let's see if anybody will actually participate in this. So remember, type 1 in the chat for left, 2 in the chat for right. And then Stanley will make up his mind based on what you select. There's one vote. There's one vote. And there's all these kind of decisions throughout the games. It's pretty fun. Have you ever played this game before, Omar? Anybody else in here? I know we got a few in here. A few of my buddies in here. Come on. You guys don't be shy. I know most of you are lurking, but alright. Looks like Omar's the man. We're going left. So now we have to hide the pole. So we're going to the meeting room.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
This is my
Stanley
favorite.
decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Just all these dumbass charts. So I'll get to my favorite slide, which is that triangle of work. Oh. There's a ton of like great touches here. It's so good, man. You just like play around this world for a long time. It's really funny.
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He seems to think I have nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe every fascinating little detail of his inability to do anything. This is why Stanley and I are on such good terms.
Yeah, here we go. Do unbelievably amazing work all the time, every day with no expectation. It's so great. Oh, it's so good. There's all this silly stuff, like it's like this shoot, where is it? Yeah, fire the paper guy. Hire someone to synergize papers. Papers are too synergized. Fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the paper synergizing guy. It's great, dude. It's absurd. In the broom closet. You can walk into the broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
So the narrator kind of leads you around.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
So then we do. Let me do a little bit of this. There we go. Which way? Upstairs. Downstairs. So this is what I'm trying to mess with, see how this works. It's a little kind of off-putting, but it's neat. It's just this little polling website you can use. So go ahead, 1 for upstairs, 2 for downstairs. Feel free. I'm sure there's a more efficient and faster way to do this. This is my first kind of test of it. All right, let me know what you think. Nice. Oh, downstairs. Oh boy. Anybody else while the getting's good? It's been active for a minute. Alright. I think Omar's the only one who's not lurking right now. Alright. So we're going downstairs. Note on the floor.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
Let me turn this up a little bit. I think it's harder to hear him. Just like that. Master volume, go up. It might get really loud.
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself. Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
It gets crazy.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
That's the Stanley Parable. I'm glad this is your first exposure to it, Omar. You wanna rock this again? Let's get crazy. See how crazy we can get.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Couldn't find any of them.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
All right. Start it. All right. Go ahead, Omar. You're the man. You're the man who's watching live. I'm glad you like it, man. It really it captured my fucking heart with this crazy narrator and all these awesome like takes on work life, and it's so good, dude. One for left, two for right. There we go. See the doors. The crazy overlay. Oh. Ooh. We're gonna defy the narrator? Oh. Alright. It's been active for a minute. Finished. Way to go. Way to thank you for participating.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
What's up, Soup? Soup's
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
There we go. Can't really see it that well, but there you go. Go ahead and take your pick. Go left through the door, as the narrator said, or go straight on. 1 for door on the left, 2 for go straight ahead. Oh, that's 1 vote. Anybody else? And Jones, yes, are you getting in on it? All right, let this go for a little bit more. Give people a chance to say their piece. It's really big. Let me clean that up while you guys mess with it. Oh, that's a little small now, but let's try that. Ooh, that's 2 votes for straight ahead. Poll's been open for 2 minutes. All right. Finish it. Excellent. We're going to defy that narrator and go straight ahead. Let's do it.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion. Will cause death.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting,
I
Stanley.
got you, Sue. I got you.
Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Okay. Answer the phone. There you go. Maybe that shouldn't be right in the middle of the screen, eh? Maybe it should be over here.
All right.
Hey, my brother. I'm out and about tonight, but wanted to say grace on the 1 year of streaming.
Thanks,
Hope
man.
to catch ya on here real soon.
Christian, thanks, brother, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for the 500 bits. All right. All right. I got you, man. Thank you. It's that phone autocorrect. This is fun, man. We're getting real silly. It's definitely one of my favorite games. Oh. You guys got to vote. Vote. Really appreciate it, Christian. Thanks, man. Thanks for being a good follower all of these months, man. All 12 of them. All right, I'm putting you down for one. There you go. In the chat. There he is. There you go. Anybody else? Omar. Soup. Come on now. I'll let it open for a little bit more. Because I know you guys are participating, so. It's just going to keep ringing. Oh. Alright, we're going to answer the phone. We're going on 3 minutes on this poll. Type 1 for answer, 2 for unplug the phone. Alright. That's it. We got it. We're going to answer the phone.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife? who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Press V on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
F.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Yeah, Omar, this game is crazy. Now there's some things where you can't, like where choice does exist and doesn't exist. Like I can't remember if it moves on from this or not if you push it, but it's pretty funny. But if nobody votes, then it'll just sit there. There you go. There you go. It's a wonderful game. It's so good. Just making fun of you for playing the game. It's really, it's so good. It just makes me so happy. Oh. Yeah, so I think this is one of those where you have to push it. You could just sit here all day.